DNI Tulsi Gabbard is calling Obama out for treason. Zelensky is facing large protests in Ukraine. The UK is doing a nightmarish test of individual carbon credits. Hunter Biden goes completely rogue on Channel 5. France declares X an organized gang and starts wiretapping their employees. The far right looked completely unhinged on a recent episode of Jubilee Debate. And Elon plans to build a 50 million unit supercluster, AI of course, in the next 5 years. That would be insane. But the thing that is on absolutely everybody's lips, Drew, is Obama going to go to prison?
Prison might be a stretch, but Tulsi Gabbard went on the Fox News channel circuit. She released some damning evidence that directly puts it at Obama's feet that he started the Russian collusion hoax. This
as a way to undermine the Trump presidency.
The fact that we had in President Obama and his leadership team people who did not want to accept the will of the American people in electing Donald Trump in 2016, and therefore cooked up this treasonous conspiracy to, again, try to effectively, and they did effectively, launch a years-long coup against the sitting president of the United States.
There are no guarantees in life, but if you put Obama in prison, guilty or not, you are going to spike your odds of a civil war so dramatically, prosecute the case. You prove to the American people that this either really did happen or they get a chance to clear their name. But let's say that it's a conviction. Like, obviously, he did it. Everybody's convinced. You don't put him in prison. At that point, for the love of your country, you've got to destroy his legacy for sure. You've got to make it known what he did for sure. But dude, you've got to find some way where this man does not end up in a cell. Yeah. Like, that is so wild. And if people cannot see, one, that the odds that the people of America just start fighting with each other, they're already blind. But two, that is going to be used against you when you lose power, and you will lose power at some point. And they are going to come after you so hard. And then it goes from seeming existential to literally being existential. And it's like, every time I turn around, there's just another thing, whether it's passing the big, beautiful bill and continuing to rack up the debt, or now this, or the fact, if they really did do it, if the Obama administration really is guilty of trying to sabotage President Trump's presidency, like, this is so out of pocket. This does not end well.
I understand maintaining the integrity of, democracy and not jailing a president, but I have a supercut here of how much they perpetuated this statement. So it seems like some consequences have to fall. This is from 2016 and 2019 when Trump was running.
Russia hacking the election to elect Trump is the end of our democracy. Votes were definitely affected. Russia hacked the election to tilt it to Mr. Trump.
The Russians definitively hacked the election.
Russia did hack the election.
No doubt. The Russians hacked the election.
Yes. Russia hacked the election.
Fact, Russia hacked the election.
President-elect Donald Trump still not sounding convinced that Russia hacked the election.
The president does not want to come to terms with the fact that the Russians hacked the election.
President Trump says he still wonders if the Russians hacked the election.
If you can get him to accept that Russia hacked the election, see if you can get him to accept who won the Civil War.
If he admits it, it casts a shadow on his victory over Hillary Clinton.
Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election.
This is literally like the Jews and the Palestinians. They're never going to agree on who fired the first shot. It's just back and forth as far as the eye can see. Everybody's going to have a claim on something going back. Eventually, somebody has to say, I cannot believe I'm going to quote Jesus again. Yes. But at some point, somebody has to turn the other cheek. At some point, somebody has to say, all right, listen, clearly there has to be a line. We can never allow this again. But you're going to perpetuate this cycle, which I am so desperate to get America out of. And I realize with every deep dive I write, with everything I go down the path, dude, there is something pulling me towards getting America to back away from the hyperpolarization, trying to mechanistically unwind that, to get people to understand what you do to bring back a thriving middle class. If we can't get everybody protected at the level of policy, to act like there's policy at the level of the individual, so at least people that are paying attention can do something about it. And I know I'm going to get drugged because people are going to say that he If he did it, he should go to jail. It was just as absurd when they were doing it to Trump. It's just as absurd now. We have to pull the facts out, have total transparency on this, have total transparency on Epstein. Like, it all needs to be out and let the chips fall where they may. But leveraging all of this stuff to jail your opponent is how a nation commits suicide. This is so reckless.
Us being in this pressure cooker of populism right now, is there a way to de-escalate that, to decompress it? How do we step off the gas without letting corruption run amok, without like letting it be? Like, how do we get out of this moment?
People have to look forward and see positive economics. If you do that, the amount of tension that goes away is extreme, because
people need to feel better about the
people need to feel that the pie is getting bigger. Because right now, a big thing that we're fighting over is the pie feels very small. There are people getting iced out, which they are right about. They're wrong about why they're getting iced out, but they are right that they are getting iced out. That scares people, man. They've got kids to take care of. They are legitimately freaked out that they are not going to be able to take care of their kids. With as much money as I have, when I project out having a kid, I can feel how different that makes everything. Like, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I don't mind if I go homeless. I don't mind if I go hungry, but there's no universe in which I'm letting my kid go hungry. So now you've got everybody on both sides legitimately scared about that. They've racked up as much debt as they're going to be able to rack up. Groceries are getting more expensive. They can't afford the house they're in, or they can't afford the house that they want to get. I mean, it actually is dire. And so then you're given this ready-made drama of red team, blue team, left and right. And you're like, cool, I now feel like I belong. I have somebody to hate. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not the bad guy. They're the bad guy. They did this to me. I'm in my feels and it feels good. Righteous indignation is a power emotion. We need that level of morality to find its way into the political system.
President Zelensky is going to have to use some of that advice, because there's been an uprising in Kiev where there have been mass protests that erupted. So a new policy was signed into law that targeted the independence of Ukraine's anti-corruption bodies, including the National Anti-Corruption Bureau, that was made infamous with Joe Biden's threats against a prosecutor investigating Hunter Biden's corrupt activity at Burisma. The Ukrainian government is also becoming increasingly unpopular due to Zelensky's refusal to seek an end to the war. As you can see in this video down here, there's been mass protests, the largest organized protests since Russia first invaded Ukraine, when they initially protested the border intrusion.
If you have to drag people out of their homes, snatch them off the streets, load them into vans to have enough soldiers to fight, you are in trouble, and you're going to have to find an exit to the war. If you're going to keep fighting long after your people have lost the will to fight, and Zelensky wants to be the lion of Ukraine in the way that Churchill was the lion of Europe and literally single-handedly stopped the Germans from just taking over everything. The right way to view Churchill is a man who did whatever it took to beat the Nazis. And I mean whatever it took. And as modern day people, we have a very hard time looking at the demands that history makes of people. And Churchill is this utterly fascinating character who was wildly amoral in service of the right value system. And so he got voted out of office immediately following the war. So his thank you for saving Europe was to get booted out and to basically say F off, and that's that. I mean, really, really wild. Yeah. But never did he try to stop the democratic process in the UK. It was like, yep, this is the process. He once made a really catastrophic mistake when he was in the Admiralty and during World War I, and he said, no BS, send me to the front line of World War I so I can earn my way back. Dude, imagine a politician like sending people in to die and then being like, okay, this was my mistake, 100%. I want to be sent to the most deadly place on earth right now, and I'm going to lead well, and I'm going to show you that I am physically courageous, that I will earn my spot back in this government. And he does. And the soldiers on the front line become terrified of going on patrol with him because he was so fearless. He didn't care. He would talk. He would walk like the perimeter. He got shot at multiple times, and other people would dive because they would hear the bullets whizzing past. And he was like, if it's my time, it's my time. But like, I'm not going to be afraid. I'm not going to live my life like that. Dude, he's so singular. But he also ends up going, the US, I'm not making any progress getting them into the war. I'm losing the backing. Europe is just falling one country after another. I'm obviously going to lose the homeland if I can't get America in. Even like everybody in the homeland, obviously this isn't going to be a sell that I can make forever. And he ends up allowing, probably, allegedly, like enough like top secret information has come out that I certainly believe the following statement to be true, but I do want to confess to the audience that this is contested. Not every historian agrees with what I'm about to say. But I believe that he allowed the Lusitania to be sunk, which had British and American civilians on it, because he knew if he could get the Germans to sink a boat with US citizens on it, that America would turn on the war. And that's exactly what happened. And they do, like, I could go into all the details about the Lusitania, but it was a passenger ship that they put like 6 million rounds of ammunition on. They changed the motor structure and everything on the boat so that presumably so it could haul the weaponry, but that also changed its sonic signature in the water. And they knew that to a U-boat, that it would sound like a military vessel. So the US does all of these things. The Germans try to run an ad in the newspaper saying like, hey, some of these ships, like they are intentionally trying to put you in harm's way, and these ships can and will be sunk because many of them are carrying munitions. One of those ads ran next to the Times for the Lusitania. So they tried, but the US, I think it was State Department, ended up stopping them from running all but one of the papers from running the ad. So it was like Germany's trying to stop them because they know what's going on. The US State Department won't let them run the ads. It's like absolutely wild. They end up pulling the Lusitania's chaperone. So there was supposed to be a ship to meet it. They pulled that, even though they had knowledge that there were U-boats in the vicinity. They told the Lusitania to slow down. So they pull its chaperone. They know that there are U-boats, and they tell it to slow down after changing the motor style so that it would sound like a military vehicle, and denied like crazy that it had the munitions on it. But however many decades later, divers go down, there it is, 6 million rounds of ammunition. So the odds that that was Churchill going, I got to get me some Americans killed, from where I'm sitting, borders on 100%. Now, when you look at history through that lens, when you look at Churchill through that lens, now look at what Zelensky's going through. Russia's invading. He's the lion of Ukraine. He's not a bad guy. He's trying to protect his people. He could have gotten out. He didn't. Instead of asking for a ride, he asked for ammunition. Like, it's gangster. But he's also willing to kidnap his own people to put them on the front line. God knows how much spin, lies, whatever, to try to continue to get funding for the war. Also refusing to do elections. And so how are we going to look at Churchill? Some people are saying he's a bad guy, and we should have just let Germany do what Germany does. And I hope we show the clip later from Jubilee where the kid's like, Nazis weren't so bad. I mean, I was really distressed by that. So if you believe, as your Uncle Billy does, that Churchill was the good guy and the Nazis were the fucking bad guys, then it's like when I look at what Zelensky's doing, I'm like, I get it. To defend your country against an invader, I mean, how far would you go? I'd go pretty far, Drew.
Does Zelensky have like a Lusitania moment? Like, what can he do to rally the troops, get support? Because to your point, I feel like he's grasping for straws at this point. I mean,
honestly, Russia is doing that for us now. Trump is getting so frustrated with his inability to get Putin to be reasonable that he's just going to fund them. He'll fund them out of spite. As long as he doesn't lose his base in the US, he will fund them out of spite. And I really think the more I pay attention to Trump, I really think the way to look at him is through the lens of realpolitik. So he's going to do whatever he can get away with. But once he can't get away with it, he'll stop. And then he is somebody who, if he can negotiate a deal that through his very American, very entrepreneurial eyes is reasonable, then great. He'll forgive anything. He'd do a deal with North Korea. He'd do a deal with Russia the second the bomb stopped. He'd do a deal with Hamas. I'm not kidding. He would do a deal with anybody if he likes the terms and feels like everybody's going to make out well on this. And I think that he will drop gigantic bombs on you if you don't agree to a deal that he considers reasonable. And so Russia's going to FAFO. He's going to secondary sanction the life out of them, which means that you're sanctioning any country that does things. So now, if you're China and you do something, you buy Russian oil that you're not supposed to, well, sanctions on China. So that, if you can get enough, if you got the whole G7 to do that, you can do some real damage to Russia. And then I think if he still doesn't back down, he will drop. He'll give weapons right now. He'll give weapons to the EU. The EU will give them to Ukraine. But I mean, who are we fooling?
The UK is just completed a test for carbon credits, and this Instagram influencer breaks it down.
Check this out. The UK recently completed a carbon credit system trial that sets a daily allowance for each person, a literal cap on your ability to travel, purchase food, clothing, and even heat your home, all rationed under the guise of saving the planet. Your daily carbon limit is capped at 40 kilograms of CO2, with food restricted to just 4 kilograms.
Pause it for a second. Okay, so America's in a fight for its soul for reasons that we've discussed many times, but the world is in a fight for its soul from totalitarian control that just is real. People believe that they know best. If I can just get people to accept that, there are elites, as they call them. We probably need to stop calling them elites because I think it distracts from. You've got primarily smart people and some wealthy people. Not that those are exclusive, but not all of the people are actually wealthy that are driving this agenda, just to be very clear. So you've got very smart people who are so convinced about their rightness that they want control. Now, I don't know if they recognize in themselves the envy, the narcissism, the ugly side, or if they're blinded by, but I'm right. And that they've been right so often in their life, and they really can outthink most of the people they encounter. And so life teaches them, you're smarter, you're better, you know better, and for everyone's sake, they just need to listen to you. There's something in humans that really makes them want to live in a hierarchical society, something with classes where dumb people just get shoved into their rightful place. And that is what is happening in the UK right now. It's absolutely wild. That is what's happening in the WEF. It is absolutely wild. It is totally dystopian. People will grab power. And because I just cannot seem to get people to read history, people don't understand how dire this becomes. This is a level of absurdity that is hard to express. First of all, these people don't know best. They are prone to making mistakes all the time. And whatever wisdom they do have will never be matched by the wisdom that the crowd has. And en masse, the masses will always know best. My favorite example of this is Mao. However brilliant he may have been, and he clearly must have been brilliant for what he pulled off. We'll be back in just a sec, but first, let's talk about the biggest barrier to investing. The hardest part about investing isn't picking stocks, it's just getting started. Christina on my team was stuck in this exact spot until she tried Alio Capital. She says it is incredibly easy to set up. They walk you through building your portfolio and finding the right mix for your risk tolerance. Alio's Altitude AI handles the complex macro stuff, tracking inflation, interest rates, and global risk, while you focus on the basics. You're not just throwing money at random stocks. You're building a portfolio that adapts to real market conditions. Whether you're a complete beginner or you've been putting this off for years, Alio makes investing approachable. No paralysis, no confusion, just smart investing made simple. Download the Alio Capital app in the App Store or Google Play, or text TOM to 511-511. Investing involves risks, including potential loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee results. See terms and conditions. Text fees may apply. This is a paid advertisement. All right, let's get back to the show. He didn't realize that across the gigantic landmass that is China, you can't plant the same crops at the same time. And when local farmers objected, he killed them and then forced everybody to plant the same crops at the same time. And then everyone starved. It's so crazy. And so that's whatever that thing is inside of the human mind, we're watching play out. And they've got the perfect thing that they need about the saving the planet to leverage it, to get control. They did it for sure with COVID. I'm not saying that COVID was intentional, but never let a good crisis go to waste. And so it happened. They used it to gain power. They saw how compliant people will be when they're scared. And so they're running the same playbook. Now, my biggest problem with what I see here is they are going to make catastrophic errors about the molecules that I can put inside my body via my diet based on the carbon footprint. And the reality is they have no right to do that, because some foods shorten your life so dramatically and other foods extend your life dramatically. This is not controversial. They're going to hammer down on red meat. They're going to hammer down basically on most animal products, would be my guess. So he talks about cheese, he talks about red meat. And the thing that they're running right now, red meat would basically take your whole day's carbon footprint. So you wouldn't be able to drive, turn on your electricity, like you had whatever 8 ounces of red meat. If you have sugary foods, so sodas, highly processed stuff that's made from carbohydrate, wheat, cereals, stuff like that, all of that is going to be fine. It will be very inexpensive. And so what's going to happen is people who are poor, that can't afford whatever allowance they're going to give you to buy extra carbon credits or whatever, I'm sure they will. So poor people are going to be stuck. They're going to eat the stuff that's cheap. And then anybody that doesn't understand. And so these are going to be, Drew, the same people that don't understand assets. So now you've got people that just cannot get on the property ladder. They're falling farther and farther behind. And now we're decimating them and their children with terrible nutrition and
health effects and all those other things.
Oh, dude, it will be massive. And it will have epigenetic effects. So what the mom eats while pregnant for sure is going to matter. It's almost certainly true that what both parents eat before they even try to have a baby will matter. And there'll be some epigenetic pass along. People can look that up if they think I'm crazy. That really does happen. And this is going to be a never-ending nightmare that further drives the people that have the knowledge and the money to get out from under this, and the people that don't. This is people trusting themselves run amok. People always think they know best.
How does this translate to actual food? Well, according to the report, a packet of cheese accounts for 1.1 kilograms of CO2, over 25% of your daily allowance. Red meat? Forget it. If you spent your entire 4 kg allowance on steak, you'd get around 8 ounces of meat. While meat and dairy products have the highest carbon footprints, 2 slices of bread would account for just 3%, while a can of Coke just 4%. So basically, diabetes is on the menu. But don't worry, Big Pharma will have you covered, because medications and healthcare products will not be factored into your daily carbon limit.
Dude, this is crazy. The perverse incentives that will end up happening, where everything in the system is incentivized to not notice that red meat is good for you. Carbohydrates and sugar is bad for you, because the drugs that deal with the chronic illness will make so much money. And people will look at it and say, and they'll be right, these drugs are a modern miracle. So now you've got, we need to save the planet. What's the problem with what they're eating anyway? We've got these drugs to deal with it. Not noticing all of the knock-on problems and the different ways that drugs can interact and the fact that we don't have long-term studies on a lot of these drugs because they're new, I am just convinced that GL1 inhibitors or whatever they're called, the Ozempics of the world, that there are going to be huge negative ramifications. You just can't do that. There's no way. There's no way that's going to be okay. We'll see. But I can't imagine it. And this all reminds me of when I was back at Quest, and there was a big initiative in the US to start labeling food. And they were going to put additional tax on food that was high in fat. And they were going to force you to put warning labels on the product. So I was like, hold on a second. I can put sugar and I'm not going to get a warning label. But if I put fat, I have to put a warning label. Dude, I was offended. That was when I was like, okay, I'm legitimately going to have to start lobbying the government because this is insane. So thankfully that never gained traction. But this is the kind of thing that I see gaining steam around the world.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because we see a lot of this stateside with like the sugar tax, where places in like, I think San Francisco and now New York City have it, where, you know, sugary drinks have an extra 10-cent surcharge or something like that. All these things to combat climate change, when the number one they say is farting cows, but the number two is fast fashion. So it's like you're telling people they can't eat these things. They have to eat sugary carbohydrates items. But if I'm still going to H&M and I'm buying $10, $20, $30 worth of clothes, I'm still contributing to the problem that we're trying to do it. So it's just very selective in the prosecution of this. So it's very interesting how they came to that.
Also, the answer is always, always, always innovation. It is always innovation. And when dumbasses think that they can see the future so clearly that they need to control this all from the top down, they end up creating more problems than they do good. You've got to let the hyper complexities of the market work themselves out in the market. If you give people the data and you show them what's really happening and you don't lie and you don't spin, you just say, look, this is what it is. Look at the ozone. We ended up fixing the ozone. So it's like, if there's really a thing that we can point to and say, okay, this chemical is a problem. So if you want aerosol, you're going to have to do it without that. So if we are worried that cows or whatever are releasing too much CO2 into the atmosphere, then put in incentives for them to solve those problems. Don't say you can't eat it. Say like, hey, look, this is something that we either want to put tax credits towards. There are things like the X Prize that can incentivize stuff like that. But honestly, I think a big part of this is it's tied to climate change, which has become hyper politicized, and some very large percentage of the planet is not convinced that the problem is what people say it is. And so this is why lying and trying to spin in position ends up backfiring. You just need to be transparent.
But here's where things get terrifying. They're not just suggesting it, they're testing it. Food manufacturers are already slapping carbon labels on their products. And let's not forget the food supply chain either. These policies directly threaten local farmers and producers as red meat gets penalized heavily, while synthetic lab-grown meat is being propped up as a solution.
Now, the problem is...
Yeah, you got to take on lab-grown meat.
I do have a take on lab-grown meat. So lab-grown meat, like anything, is we don't know. We don't know yet if it's effective. We don't know yet if there are some magical things that happen to the meat because it's out eating and grazing. If you raise a cow feeding it only grain, the meat is different. The literal chemistry of the animal itself, like what's stored in the fat and all that, becomes different. And so if you don't tell Lisa that the cow was grain-fed, she'll still know because grain-fed beef upsets her stomach. So there is just something, like some part of the digestive system recognizes whatever the difference is, I imagine it's stored in the fat, but like whatever is stored in the fat causes a different kind of reaction. Same with chicken that eats grain versus if it eats worms and all the things that it would normally find by roaming around and pecking. So while I love the idea of lab-grown meat, and I cannot wait to see long-term studies done to find out like whether it's fine or not, I don't want to pretend like there aren't going to be some wild complexities to that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of a crackhead policy, Hunter Biden had an interview with Channel 5. And he talked about a myriad of things. I want to start here because I just thought this was hilarious.
Your neighborhood convenience store and just get Anyway, I don't want to tell people how to make crack cocaine, but it literally is a mayonnaise jar, cocaine, and baking soda.
How different is the experience?
I don't want to tell them, but here it is.
Vastly, vastly different. And like for real, I feel really reluctant to kind of have some euphoric discussion. I know you're not asking me to do that, but have some euphoric discussion about crack cocaine.
I think this might be kind of the opposite here.
Okay, no, it's the exact opposite. I'm saying I don't want to have the experience of some euphoric recall. That's how powerful crack cocaine is.
So he went from crack cocaine to talking about George Clooney and some of the establishment Democrats and how they turned on Joe Biden at the end of the election.
Well, so before we leave the crack cocaine thing, we should play the part where he starts talking about crack cocaine is actually cleaner than normal cocaine. People think it's dirty.
Does crack cocaine make you act any differently? No. Is it safer than alcohol? Probably. People think of crack as being dirty. It's the exact opposite.
I actually don't know, to be honest, but it doesn't look good.
And then he went off on establishment Democrats.
Fuck him, and everybody around him. I don't have to be fucking nice. Number one, I agree with Quentin Tarantino. Fucking George Clooney is not a fucking actor. He is a fucking, I don't know what he is. He's a brand. And by the way, and God bless him. You know what? He supposedly treats his friends really well. You know what I mean? Buys them things. And he's got a really great place in Lake Como. And he's great friends with Barack Obama. Fuck you. What do you have to do with fucking anything? Why do I have to fucking listen to you? What right do you have to step on a man who's given 52 years of his fucking life to the service of this country and decide that you, George Clooney, are going to take out basically a full-page ad in the fucking New York Times to me and James Carville, who hasn't run a race in 40 fucking years, and David Axelrod, who had one success in his political life, and that was Barack Obama. And that was because of Barack Obama, not because of fucking David Axelrod. And David Plouffe, and all of these guys, and the Pod Save America guys.
I honestly think this is him trying to become relevant in politics. I have a feeling that Dad is still alive. He's got an opportunity to prove to Dad that, look, I can do this. I can make sure that your name isn't forgotten, your legacy is not forgotten. Whether he tries to completely rehab his image and run, that's a much bigger question. But he knows that people are going to want to interview him. So he's got a microphone. If he's got something interesting to say, I mean, now is the age where it's like, you start your show, you start your podcast, you say the things that other people aren't willing to say. He's clearly going in on the Democrats. Like, he's not afraid to attack his own. And so it'll be interesting to see if he's positioning himself as like more of a centrist Democrat. I don't know. It'll be interesting. But this does not feel like somebody who's completely unhinged to me. This feels like somebody who's swearing too much. And this is a good reminder to me not to use the F word that frequently. But I don't hear somebody who's completely unhinged. His backstory is wild. And so can we elect a president who we know smoked crack and we've seen his dick? Like, I don't know, Drew. That he's insecure about it and that he asks, is it still big? Like, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be able to come back from that. But he could certainly be a personality in the space. So this will be interesting. And fathers are powerful in terms of people wanting to seek their approval. And I think that he has had such a dark past that if you're watching Dad's light fade and you think, all right, this is my shot. I'm not going to let people trample him. I'm not going to let his reputation go down without a fight. And it's actually pretty interesting because this will happen to a lot of politicians. So Hamilton had the same problem, and his wife for years fought to get a biography written about him because she was like, people are trying to trash his memory, but what my husband did is so great. And she was just like obsessed. And then I think ultimately it was his son that finally saw it across the finish line. And this is a very real thing for him to get into the political arena, at a minimum, try to fight for his dad's legacy. And then, as I say, ambition grows in the Eden. If he starts getting traction, if he finds that he can post up a show, he's got to make money somehow. Yeah. So if he can become part of the political commentariat, ingratiate himself back into politics, I mean, he must know everybody. And so this is going to be an interesting arc. I'm intrigued.
I don't know how much political power he has, though, if he's torching the people that were closest to him, you know, so it is him starting over. Right
now, he has absolutely no political power, but getting in the room with people oftentimes is enough. And if he's willing to play, because how old is he? He looks like he's early 50s?
55 years old.
Okay, so he's got 10, 15 years on him.
20 years if he's, with Donald Trump in them. So
I guess, but I kind of hope that we move out of the whole geriatric space. But he's got an easy 15 for sure. And so even if he's willing to play the game for 5 years, like if he's any good at media, I think he's got a shot. I mean, this is interesting. Everybody's been talking about it. Mm-hmm. So if he can come out guns blazing, attack the people that are supposedly unattackable, I think he could get traction.
That's interesting. We'll keep tracking. And hopefully he's doing good in his sobriety and his recovery. That statement was crazy.
We'll get back to the show in a moment, but first, let me tell you about something that will change how you work forever. Picture this. You need to create a presentation for the meeting with the C-suite tomorrow at 9 a.m. You open Google Drive, hunt through scattered project notes, switch to Gmail, dig through weeks of client updates, jump to Calendar, and copy meeting notes from 5 different calls, switch back to PowerPoint, paste everything in, fix the formatting disasters, reorganize the slides, repeat 100 times. 2 hours later, you are mentally drained, and the presentation still looks like garbage. Here's the new way with Context AI. You tell Context, create a presentation using my notes from Google Drive, updates from Gmail, and my upcoming meetings from Calendar. That's it. Context pulls everything in, grabs the right pieces, cleans them up, lays it out, formats it, done. No jumping between tabs, no manual edits, no version mix-ups. It just does it. 2 giant companies are already using Context because their executives do not waste time on tasks. Sign up for free at context.ai and reclaim your time. And now let's get back to the show.
France President Emmanuel Macron has classified the platform X as an organized gang, allowing them to legally wiretap personal devices of ex-employees. X believes that this investigation is distorting French law in order to serve a political agenda and ultimately restrict free speech. For these reasons, X has not acceded to the French authorities' demands. Where do you think this falls on the free speech spectrum?
Well, every country gets to do what they want, and I have no idea what the laws are in France, but I will say from a moral perspective that people seem to not understand that the reason free speech is so important is that you need to be able to think. Writing is thinking. Speaking is thinking. It's not like your ideas are fully formulated and then you write them down. That's not how writing works. It's not like your ideas are fully formulated and then you speak them out. Oftentimes you're speaking not so that you can be understood, but so that you can understand. And so when you stop people from being able to do this, you literally stop ideas from getting fully fleshed out. You stop people from being able to say, this is what I think and believe, and then they challenge your ideas and it makes you sharper. You make me sharper. My wife makes me sharper. Critiques that I get online, the right ones, obviously, make me sharper. And when you don't understand that and your impulse is to silence because you would rather be in control, you would rather maintain power, then everything goes off the rails. And this is one of those things where you just have to understand how the game works. Like you have to understand the macro movements of culture, the way that people are ultimately with each other. And when you try to force them to be silent, it deranges a culture. And when you allow them to express and to push and to fight, yes, you yourself may lose power, but you get to still be in a thriving world. And so if we can just get people to recognize this is just how the world works, that to get everybody on the same page, you have to kill people. And I don't mean that in any sort of hyperbolic way. I mean that just humans are so diverse and they have so many different opinions, and some people feel so strongly that some people just will not be silenced unless you kill them. And some ideas are so powerful that they will catch fire. And so when an idea undermines power, power has a decision. You either recognize, oh, I guess my time is up. And now this new wave, the young bucks are going to come and we're done. It's not our time. And that's always been one of the great things about America was we peacefully transferred power. We said, my time's over. Okay, I accept it. And apparently France does not. And so they're just People just are unhinged about X. It is so wild to me. And yeah, anybody that doesn't believe in free speech is making a critical error at the level of psychology of humans en masse.
This seems like a common thread of the whole, I know better, this is why you should listen to me. Because free speech a lot of times is it's okay for free speech, but I don't want you to say these things.
Correct.
And again, I'm the one dictating what those things you're not allowed to say are.
Correct. On my tombstone, there should be 2 phrases. A, you're having a biological experience. And B, stop trusting yourself so much. If everybody recognized those 2 things, we would be in much better shape. Much better. But dude, I get the same impulse that everybody else has, that I'm right. This is obviously right. The world would be better if everybody just listened to me. It's just that I know I've been wrong so many times before and felt so right. Right up until I realized I was wrong. That I thought, okay, I just have to have a default understanding that you can't be paralyzed. You can't be like, oh, I could be wrong. You've got to march forward. But you've got to march forward going, some part of what I believe right now is incorrect. Of this, I am sure. And the bad news is, I don't know which part I'm wrong about. So it's super powerful to recognize that you're wrong about something.
Yeah. Well, Mehdi Hassan was surrounded by 20 people who sure didn't feel like they were wrong about something.
Before you play this, did you watch this?
I didn't watch it in full. I just watched the clips.
These guys were terrible. Terrible. And I'm not exactly a big Mehdi Hassan guy, but these guys were terrible.
Yeah, it felt like they were there's the far right, and then there was all the way over there, right? It just felt weird. It felt weird.
It felt weird, and they didn't even have good arguments.
Yeah.
If you've got a good argument, and you can make me be like, oh, maybe Hitler wasn't so bad. Yeah. But the whole time, I'm just you're not actually making an argument. Yeah. You're literally just flirting with the devil. You're literally just well, he was kind of cute. You know what I mean? I was like, what is happening right now?
Crazy. And this guy goes all the way. I don't believe in the Constitution, and I'm a fascist.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, if Trump is anti-Constitution, good, and I think he should go further.
So this is wonderfully revealing of the modern conservative mindset. So I appreciate you spelling it out so openly. Just checking, do you support the Second Amendment?
I do.
Okay, surprise! I was shocked to hear that. I'm saying that Donald Trump is defying the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the 14th Amendment. He's thinking of defying the 12th and 22nd Amendments. You're saying you don't care about the Constitution, but actually you do, because you quite like the Second Amendment. You just don't like the bits that you disagree with. Can I just be clear on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm more than willing to amend it and include
whenever it's in
Second
your
Amendment.
favor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So can Democrats do the same when they're in office?
No, absolutely not. Because
so you don't
it's
believe in democracy?
Enemy. No, I don't. Absolutely not.
What do you believe in?
Autocracy.
A little bit more than a far-right Republican.
Hey, what can I say?
I think you can say I'm a fascist.
Yeah, I am.
Wow.
Dude, this is...
and then he got fired from his job. And then started GoFundMe.
There is something, admittedly, I don't like about you've been working with him. So you've already been working with a fascist.
You knew he was a fascist. Now other people know. Now you get the fire.
Is that the problem? It's for me, I think it's people going, oh, I don't like your beliefs, therefore you're out. If their behaviors are fine, you got to chill on the whole beliefs thing. Some of it goes back to, I think that I'm right. I want to be convincing. I don't necessarily want to convince everybody. So this guy should be able to make whatever case he wants to make for fascism, and other people should be able to hopefully smash his arguments into itty bitty pieces, just using cause and effect, nice, simple logic. Anyway, the whole, I don't like your beliefs and therefore I fire you. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah. And then there was this one that talked about the Palestinian Israel War.
So-called innocent Palestinians. You don't think Palestinians are innocent?
Not all of them. Because
but what about the 17,000 children who were killed?
They're doing the
17,000 children were killed. Were they not innocent?
Were
they not innocent?
Who's responsible for that?
Israel, who dropped the bombs.
Hamas is responsible. Hamas is responsible for hiding in hospitals and making tunnels underneath those hospitals.
So when children are shot in the head by Israeli snipers, Israeli snipers aren't responsible for that?
Look,
it's a simple question.
Here's the problem.
When Israeli snipers shoot Palestinian children in Gaza in the head, as eyewitness testimony and doctors' testimony proves, that's not the fault of the Israeli snipers.
This is the problem. Because when you have
the problem is you won't answer the question. I'll ask you a third time. When Israeli snipers shoot Palestinian children in the head, is that not the fault of Israeli snipers?
Well, you gotta let me finish.
No, you got to answer the question. Fourth time.
Well,
when Israeli
I will
snipers
get to
shoot
your
Palestinian
answer.
children in the
I
head.
will get to your
We're running out of
answer.
time. I need to know what you think about
See,
innocent
these guys
children.
they're not good debaters. Now, are they not good debaters because as you go that far out on the right, it's all emotion and there actually is no logic. And so they feel something very strongly, but they don't have an argument. Like it's not like they have an argument in their head and they're just not representing it well. They don't have an argument in their head.
They don't.
They feel a thing and they're trying to convey their emotion to you. That's the only thing that I could make sense while I was watching this. Because the ape tax survivor, where the fuck is Jubilee finding these guys? That guy literally looks like he's out of the cartoon Spy versus Spy. So I'm not sure what's going on there.
Somebody said he looked like Waluigi Mangione. I thought that was hilarious. I love that. Like where they found out Waluigi.
Wait, where? No way they found Waluigi Mangione. That
was
is
so good.
unbelievable.
I mean, that's probably my favorite one.
That's good. Admittedly.
Yeah, no, I agreed. I've seen the Candace Owens one. I've seen ones previously where even the hot seat person is like, oh, you got me, or okay, they at least have to retool their argument. But it seemed like this was 70% trolling, 20% dunking on immigrants. Like I just don't understand what they were trying to get to.
Winning each other over though. That was the weird part. So like they would clap for, I don't like the Constitution. Clap, 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 clap. It's like, whoa, okay. This one was weird. I want to see that same debate. I want to see if there are real arguments on the far right. I'd be curious to see, I don't know enough about Nick Fuentes, but I'd be curious to see if is he far right like that?
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to see if he's actually articulate and can argue something or if he too is just emotion based. But I did not find that one compelling at all.
And then in AI news, Elon Musk tweeted that XAI goal is 50 million in units of H100 equivalent AI compute, but much better power efficiency within 5 years. And then he also recently retweeted an interview NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang did about Elon Musk's scale. And he retweeted it. 230,000 GPUs, including 30,000 GB200s, are operational for training Grok XAI in a single supercluster called Colossus 1. Interference is done by our cloud providers. At Colossus 2, the first batch of 550,000 GPU 200s and GP 300s, also for training, start going online in a few weeks. As Jensen Huang has stated, XAI is unmatched in speed. It's not even close. It just seems like the scale of this thing has just been
there's
crazy.
There's two things to talk about. 50 million ants would be a lot. 50 million GPUs is wild. Like, how do you walk them into the room? Like 50 million anything is so many things. So, I mean, that one is like almost hard to get your head around in terms of the scope and scale of this is so massive. So there's that. This, if people are still underestimating AI, stop immediately. This is unreal. Like we're getting to the point where they're using so many GPUs. It's like neurons in the brain.
Crazy.
So yeah, this is completely insane. And if 50 million is what we're doing in 5 years, what are we doing in 25 years? So yeah, I mean, this is, AI is going to terraform our planet. It's going to terraform human psychology. It is going to change everything we've ever known. It is already moving at a rate. The 3 times doubling in a year seems about right. That is a truly exponential. Your doubling rate is less than a year, okay? Exponential just means that 3x, like if you're at 1 and then you 3x that, you're at 3. If you 3x that, you're at 9, right? So it's when you're maintaining that 3x, it's unbelievable, like getting bigger. Mm-hmm. But the fact that the doubling is happening in less than years is crazy. So every time I talk about AI, every now and then I'll be like, maybe I'm overhyping it a little bit. And then I'll see an announcement like this, or I'll start working with the agents on ChatGPT, and you're just like, oh no, this really is still moving forward fast. And it continues to change my behavior. That's the part. Like I've only written, I mean, how many deep dives have I written? 10?
10.
So I've written 10 deep dives. I'm writing them differently now for the 3rd time from where I started. Just because AI is updating that fast.
In 10 weeks, yeah.
So it's, oh man, it's incredible. Okay, so that's the first part of this. The second part of this is I cannot believe that there are people that are still against Elon. Like, even if you hate his politics, what he's able to do in business will be studied for decades. It is unbelievable. I guarantee we are not getting the full picture of what it's like to be around him right now. I constantly remind myself of the story of him cutting the bolts off the servers in the X server farm because he wanted to move them somewhere else. And they were like, sorry, we don't have the wrench to like undo them. We're going to need like the weekend or whatever. And this is like midnight on a Saturday or something. He's like, nope. And he just and shaved the bolts, and they loaded up the servers and took them. It's that kind of maniacal adherence to his goals. Like, I will stop at nothing. Now, whether he stops at ethics, I won't say. I just don't know. But the fact that he is able to push things forward this rapidly is unbelievable. We have to commend it. Dude, I want to get this much done in my life. And honestly, as an entrepreneur, I find myself routinely saying, okay, if I had to accomplish what he's accomplishing, what would I have to do? And the answers you start coming up with free your mind from the limitations of the way that you normally think. It's just so absurd. Like, to think that you're going to do 50 million units in 5 years. Like, if you just run the math of like how many people would have to like go in and go out, like you'd have to start mapping the walking speed from wherever they unload to how like you get them plugged in, and then to wire everything, and then to eliminate all the interference. Jesus, it is bananas, all while getting us to Mars, all while turning us into cyborgs, all while digging tunnels, all while building robots, all while building cars. It's like, what? So I want to see people aspire to do ambitious things in their own life. And so for him to be one of the most hated men on the planet is really heartbreaking.
Yeah. Where do you stand on like the Mike Rowe argument of it all? I seen him talk recently with Charlie Kirk, and he was saying that like, while 40% of AI jobs are going to disappear, a majority of those are white collar, and there's going to be like a blue collar.
Mike Rowe just really wants to look stupid in 5 years. Every time he talks, I'm like, Mike, don't do it to yourself. Mike, don't give him the clips. They're going to play this on a loop. Bro.
So you think in 5 years we're going to have robot plumbers?
Obviously. Like, what is he thinking? He needs to go to a robotics factory and see how advanced this stuff is. If you're not going to give me 5 years, 7, like, and it won't be binary. There's just going to be more and more and more. I don't know if you saw the recent massage robot has like 9 degrees of articulation. Unbelievable. Obviously, you've already got Optimus robots serving popcorn. You've got these really lightweight house robots now that are humanoid, that can walk around, open the fridge, all this stuff. Dude, it's already crazy in 2025. In 2030, in 2035, dude, there's going to be robots as far as the eye can see. I will be legitimately surprised if by 2027, you and I don't have a robot sitting with us as part of the show. I mean, they're going to be 20 grand in months if they're not already. And you just, I'll take one. Like, if they had better AI, like that's the thing I'm waiting to catch up. I want them to have a face so they can express emotion. Then cartoon face, ideally. Then you really have something. So yeah, every time I hear Mike Rowe talk, I'm just like, okay, I mean, I get it. I'm sure I'm saying things right now that 5 years from now, people will be like, and laughing their faces off at things that I think are true, but he's going to look silly.
What would you say then to, the 21-year-old, 22-year-old who's graduating college? And I know it's like learn ChatGPT, but like that I mean, I can search a bunch of stuff on there. I can have it build me 75% done apps, but what should I practically look for? Like what North Star should they have?
It is all tools are being built for you that allow you to do things that were previously unimaginable. And so what I'm doing, I'm building Ready Player One. I'm going to build a virtual world, not thinking VR, maybe, but I think more just normal gaming plus probably AR. But anyway, build a game that is so expansive that you could spend the rest of your life playing that game. And because it's based on a set of rules, you could set something in motion when you're 8 years old and then revisit it when you're 35 and be like, yo, that's crazy. because it will have kept evolving. So I wouldn't be able to do that without AI. Now, the AI that I can use today has made things a lot cheaper. It's made things faster, but I'm expecting, 3-5 years from now where this is like, oh, wow, I can really do some incredible stuff. And again, going back to XAI, some of the stuff they're doing in gaming feels like 3 years of progress in 6 months. So let them keep cooking. If they keep building models bigger and bigger, then everybody's going to have access to tools that are more and more powerful. But that's how people should think of it. This tool now allows me to do a thing that would have cost me $100,000, $500 millions of dollars, whatever, and I can now do it for $300 a month. Like, that is an extraordinary trade. And I understand people are panicking because it is unnerving when the world you thought you were going to live in, just you realize is not going to be the thing. But if you think of it as a tool that allows you to almost have a magic wand, I mean, it is really incredible the things that we're going to be able to do. I'm talking like gene edit. My skin is losing elasticity. Dear AI, fix it. Look at my genome. Look at the exact skin cells. What's my problem? Oh, your problem is exactly this. Take these supplements or do this gene therapy or whatever. That's all going to happen. You're going to be able to take the DNA from your parents, look at the epigenetic information, like figure out what does that predict about me. You're going to be able to run like simulations on yourself about aging, possible tumors. I mean, they've been able to turn tumors into pork. Yes, I said that correctly. Turn a tumor inside your body into pork so your own immune system will attack it. So, dude, like, think of all the things we're not thinking of. Every time there's been a radical technological advancement, we don't lose jobs, they just change. It's devastating for the people that live through the change. So I get it, I get the anxiety, but it unlocks things for humanity that are unbelievable.
Nice. That's all I got.
All right, everybody. If you're not already joining us for the lives, you're not going to want to miss out. Start joining us Wednesday and Friday at 6 a.m. Pacific time. We will see you there. And until next time, my friends, be legendary. Take care. Peace.
If you like this conversation, check out this episode to learn more.
Religious and ethnic clashes in Spain turn bloody. Ghislaine Maxwell wants to testify before Congress about the Epstein list. 3 minutes of footage were edited out of the Epstein video. Catherine Boyle calls out Apple and American VCs for teaching the CCP.